So, look, at this point, with Ohio State on deck, the question becomes a little bit of readjust the goals here. What's this season become about? Is the season about preparing for next year? Is the season about getting young guys snaps? Is the season about trying to make a bowl game? Which is also in part getting ready for next year because of the extra practices. And then the bowl game can be used to, try and give some of those young guys more reps then. Is the season about replacing the quarterback and trying to see if you can get better play out of that position? Is the season about Mel Tucker giving lots of rope to his defensive staff, to his entire staff, and see what they do with it?
Yes.
It's about all those things.
I want to keep the microphone in my face.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. I think I think one of them I cross off is it looking forward to next year? No, you have to keep playing for this year. You've got goals still in front of you for this season. You can make a bowl game, be bowl eligible. The benefit of the bowl game is more practice. That's what the benefit is. Mm-hmm. So if you're 6-6, you're bowl eligible. I'm not going to completely poo-poo it because I think there is something that gets gained from it. The 6-6 season is disappointing. It's very disappointing if that's what they're at. I'm not sure if they're going to get to 6-6 the way things are going because the defense is such a train wreck right now. We talk about the Lions, but the Lions have NFL caliber players that are they can change things up. I feel more confident that they're going to figure it out than Michigan State will, because when you're deficient because of injuries and then you're relying on younger guys to come in and step in that just don't have the time or experience with it yet, that's a recipe for disaster here. So Michigan State is thin when it comes to their depth. I think that they got hurt last year by, frankly, guys that they got from the portal when they kind of revamped the entire secondary, and the guys just haven't played well. They haven't grown much at all, which is a little surprising. They go and dip their toe in there again this past off season with a couple other players, and it hasn't worked out, and they've had injuries to boot, and it's been a miserable last 3 weeks for sure. But even the first couple weeks led you to believe that, okay, there's something wrong with the defense. They can't stop the pass. Wait a minute. That's what happened last year. And yet they won 11 games last year. Thank you, Kenneth Walker, a big part of it, but they did win 11 games. It wasn't all Kenneth Walker. What the heck is going on there? I don't know. I don't know why there are so many problems. I don't know if it's if the scheme they're running is too sophisticated for the players to understand, or if the players are just not good enough. But they need to find a way to slow things down. I think that's the first step. Slow things down, figure it out a little bit. There are problems on both sides of the ball. Offensively, the offensive line hasn't been as good as I had hoped, but I think that's kind of maybe a slow and steady wins the race kind of thing. I think these guys are getting some good experience, and maybe it'll be better as the season goes on. Elijah Collins got a chance to run a little bit last Saturday in limited carries, but he looked good. He looked like he still has something in the tank to give, and is it on the level of Berger? Sure, why not? Give him chances to go. Peyton Thorne had a better game on Saturday. The disappointing thing is that Michigan State didn't score in the second half of that game. And now you got a game against Ohio State this week where the Buckeyes are heavy favored, 25.5 points. I'm having a hard time in my head finding a way that Michigan State can prevent Ohio State from scoring 50. And that's not hyperbole, I don't think. I mean, Ohio State, they average 49 points a game, I think, anyway. And then they get to go against the worst pass defense in football. What are you going to do?
Well, I mean, all of that, I think, is valid. If you the portal is you can get a mixed bag out of the portal, right? The portal, players go into the portal. It's typically not star players or guys that are buried behind someone, but there can be exceptionally good results from portal transfers, as we have seen in both Ann Arbor and East Lansing. Mel Tucker went into it pretty heavy, scored Kenneth Walker, and he was tremendous, absolutely tremendous. This year, the portal hasn't rewarded him quite the same. And you just don't know if a guy is going to come to your system and flourish. Was he being misused? Or if there's a reason they went into the portal and they left the place they were at. Is it something that you think he needs to back away from a little bit?
No, because I think a lot of times the portal and what Mel Tucker's done with it has been, I think, misconstrued a little bit. I think what he has done with the portal, when you're a new coach and you come into a situation and you lose a bunch of players by attrition and you're having to restock shelves, that this is one way you can restock it by adding some veteran players. And really what you're doing is buying time for the recruiting classes that you just accrued. So you don't have to go into year 2 and starting, a bunch of freshmen or a bunch of redshirt freshmen, because you're able to go into this and let those guys mature a little bit. Now, part of that, you risk that because you didn't play those guys, maybe those guys will leave in the portal.
Right.
I think the other thing is because the portal thing is kind of new, or was new.
Yeah, we're all feeling our way through.
Yeah, that it's going to change. It's going to change dramatically. That you'll see teams using it in different ways. In Michigan State, because they had a coaching change, I think you'll see that a lot with a lot of coaches. When there's a coaching change, they'll go heavy in the portal. And so now Michigan State's a couple years removed from that. They got a few players this year from it that they really like, and a couple guys are hurt. So that doesn't help. And then when you have an injury to your best defensive tackle, who would command double teams and allow perhaps maybe some more freedom from defensive ends, that's a big blow for them. So Jacoby Windman, who got off to the great start, and now what has he done? He hasn't done much since then. Is that simply because he's getting the double team now? He's getting the extra attention from running backs that are going to help chip, or tight ends or whatever. Maybe that's it. But the defense, they're not getting any pass rush. And just like with the Lions, if you're not getting any push and quarterbacks have all day to throw, they're going to pick you apart.
The one other thing that you and I talked about off the air a little bit yesterday that I think now is incumbent upon Mel Tucker to do is guard his yard as it pertains to recruiting. He's putting together a decent class, but
putting together a great class.
But the question becomes, is that class now become a chance of getting poached because people are going to swoop in and say, "Hey, you sure you want to go play there?" So he has got, I would say that him and his staff need to put extra effort into guarding their yard at this point.
Yeah, they know that, and I'm sure they're going to be doing that as much as possible. And I'm also sure that they're trying to find the right mix of what they're looking for in a player, in a recruit. They want guys that want to be there, and that's the message that they're preaching out on the recruiting trail right now. Is we want you to be Spartans. If you don't want to be part of this, then we're going to move somewhere else. But we think you can add to this team, and the selling point he's got is that you'll have a chance to play early at Michigan State, particularly if you're recruiting on the defensive side. We're not lighting it up defensively. We're terrible defensively. We think that you are one of those difference makers that from day one you can step in and look like you belong.